good to have you here. Thank you for coming. You'll see a lot of print, and that's because I want you to have the information that I'm sharing. You can go back, so you don't need to take notes or anything, but I'm really glad to have you here. I feel like we know each other. There's a lot of faces, right? You're familiar with me, I'm familiar with you, which is wonderful. It's a great place for us to start. I've been at Shorecrest, this is my 11th year, and over the 11 years, Shorecrest has just continued to grow. And I love being in a school environment that's always striving to get better, always growing. It's so important. And we're a school that really has embraced our progressive roots. I love telling the story that when this school first started, it was downtown, on the water, outdoor school, totally experiential. There's photographs with like a table with kids exploring sea life, and I would have loved to have been a teacher at that time. You know, let's go kids, let's go explore the beach and have fun outside. So we really do embrace those progressive roots from 1923. I'm sure John Dewey had some influence on those educators. Also, I'm a parent, so having been here over time, I want to show you, this is, let's see if I can get it. There we go. There's my little girl who went through Alpha, JK, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and now she's in fifth grade. And so I am not only somebody who, as an administrator, that can tell you about curriculum, but I'm a mom, and my child has gone through, and actually I can tell you about middle school now. And when your children are ready for middle school, my child will be in high school, and I'll tell you all about that. So just letting you know that I understand. I'm with you. I'm a parent too. I'm originally from Massachusetts, the Berkshire Mountains, Mecca for the arts, and then I lived in Manhattan for 20 years before moving down. And I feel very blessed to be here at Shorecrest. So, my goodness, kindergarten. If you think that your children grew this year, if you're like so impressed, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe what they're doing, just wait till next year, because this is the time where developmentally they're just like sponges. They're bursting. They want to know everything. They have something to say about everything. And they're just absorbing all around them. It's a time for great cognitive, academic, social, emotional, physical growth. And I like this quote because I think sometimes when I meet people who like cut in front of you, or those drivers who are so rude on the road, I think, I wonder what their kindergarten experience was like. Because in kindergarten you learn to be patient, you learn to take turns, you learn to listen, you learn to share, you learn to collaborate. There's so many of those skills. We call them soft skills, but they are so important, right? You learn to be a friend, you learn how to be a member of a community, and that's what your children have been doing. But we're always working on that, always. And I think that's something that's really important. So, what else is going on in kindergarten? Well, they're pretty happy. Young 5-year-olds are just so excited to learn. And they want to please you. They want to please their teacher. You'll notice they might ask for permission, like, Mom, can I do this? Dad, can I do this? It's very typical. They want to do the right thing. A great deal of the focus is on social emotional learning. They're interested in this. Just a short time ago, it was parallel play, right? They were side by side, barely noticing the other person by them. Well, by kindergarten, it's all about friends and friendships. So you're going to hear lots of stories, some true, some maybe exaggerated. I wouldn't get so worked up. If you have questions, go to the teacher. But sometimes they just need to share and talk about those stories. They love routines. And kindergarten offers, we have, just like right now in JK, because we're one school, we have those set routines, but there's days where something new. With Shorecrest, there's always something going on. We break the routine, but it's exciting. We prepare the children. But kindergarten is a good time for structured instruction and also exploration. So a delicate balance of both. And it's because that's what they're ready for. They're ready to develop some new skills and have some direct instruction, but they still need to explore and have time to discover things. So, and they're much more independent. And you know, we want to foster that independence. That is so important. When we do things for them, we are telling them that they're not capable. That's not a good message, right? They are capable. They can do it. And we need to send that message by allowing them the opportunity to do things on their own. They make mistakes, that's okay, we do too. You know, let them learn. It's really important. So I will tell you that after the first week of school, we'd rather that you did not walk them to the classroom. Let them come in on their own, put their things away. They're so excited to see their friends. That's what they want to do. And they have things to share. It's great if they can come a little bit earlier, and I'll tell you about times later. And that's just because they're social, they need to connect. So really important. Oh, by the way, my presentation is about 30 minutes, and then we'll have about 10 to 15 minutes for you to ask questions. But you know, I hope at the end of this presentation that you'll feel comfortable reaching out to me. You know you have a friend, you have someone you can talk to if you have any questions. Also, it's just, when you leave here, I just want to make sure you're informed and you feel pretty inspired, excited, and that you're set up for success in your child next year, right? Next year is in 3 months. So it's like that. But I hope you just feel like, okay, I got this. And when I don't know, I'm going to reach out to Lisa, because she's here all summer. So one of my favorite quotes from the City and Country School: how a child learns to learn will impact his or her life forever. Let that wash over you. Because there are lots of ways to learn to read. You learn to read. Maybe you had a basal. You read what they told you to read. You filled out those multiple choice questions. That's one way to learn to read. Or you can find books. You can talk about books. You can discuss characters. You can have books that are right on your reading level, and you can build a rich reading life so that you love to read. You know, so that's an example. But I also think about our mission to educate and develop lifelong learners. So how do you do that? How do you develop lifelong learners? Well, I think our answer is you create an environment where children feel safe asking questions, where they have lots of opportunities to ask questions, lots of opportunities to try new things, to be stretched. Inquiry work is so important. Project-based learning, well, there's a reason. It's because we're teaching children, let's do an in-depth investigation, let's ask questions, let's follow those questions. Where do we find the resources? People, books, maybe we'll go to places. Let's make sense of that. Let's evaluate all that information, because kids have information at their fingertips. But they need to know how to think about it and evaluate it. And then we ask children to synthesize it and to put it into another form so they can be the experts. And all those project shares, it's for them. It's really about them. And it's about their growth and their opportunity to show you and discuss as an expert, and for you to ask them questions, and for them to understand that they're never done learning, right? That there's always more questions to be asked. And so I hope that we do a good job doing that. I think we do. Our teachers, they're really just like the JK teachers. They're experts for 4-year-olds. Our kindergarten teachers are experts for 5-year-olds. They know, they understand children's natural inclinations, how they learn, what's happening developmentally at this particular age. And there's a range of 5-year-olds, by the way, and what's going on. But child-centered, are we developing a classroom, paying attention, listening to children? What are their needs? What are their abilities? What are their interests? What are their backgrounds? So that's being child-centered. It's not, I open up a book, prescriptive curriculum. I just follow what's in this book. We don't do that. We write our own curriculum. We develop curriculum with children. And of course, learning needs to be fun. I don't know about you. My daughter's in 5th grade. You heard me. And there hasn't been one day, not one day she hasn't wanted to go to school. Wow. Developing lifelong learners. Hasn't missed a day. Loves school. And that's because we take the time to think about what kids need. And they need it to be fun and engaging. Not every minute is going to be like, work isn't always fun, but it's an important skill that we have to develop. But let's say responsive classroom, where we start the day all together. And instead of just the teacher building a relationship with the child, it's about all of us building a relationship with each other. That I know your strengths, I know your interests, not just the teacher knows. And that's why we take the time to do this work and to have fun, start off with an activity every morning or a little share to get to know each other. Really important. So we're paying attention. And community is at the heart of progressive education. It's all about building community. Kids feeling safe, kids feeling known. Every child wants to feel that their teacher likes them and knows them. And that's what we do. And not only that their teacher knows them, but the community does. That they're a part of something bigger, right? It's that time in their life. They're part of something bigger than just their family. And that it's meaningful. So this is where we do a lot of that work about what it means to be a member of a community. And all of this leads to educating children to be critical and creative thinkers and people who participate in a multicultural democratic society, right? They have something to say and that they care. I hope that's one thing when they leave Shorecrest, is that they care. So when they're studying something, there should always be, and why should I care? How does this affect me? How does this affect other people? Progressive education, hands-on learning. Kids aren't sitting and filling out worksheets. That's not what we do, because I think most of us as adults would say we learn through doing, right? We gotta learn skills, and we need to practice those, but then we need to apply them and do something with them. And that's where you have that systematic instruction, also with the open, free exploration, inquiry work, where they can apply these skills that they're learning as well. And what's really important is that we connect it to what's going on in the world as well, and their lives. Okay. We're one school, Shorecrest. We have different divisions for a reason, because we're thinking about the needs of children. So we know 3 and 4-year-olds need 2 big arms around them, and they should. That's what they need at that time. We have kindergarten through 4th in the lower school, and then it starts 5th in the middle school, which is wonderful, because it's middle school and training wheels up to 8th grade, and then 9th through 12th. It makes sense. But we are one school with a very similar, or the same philosophy, progressive philosophy. There are differences, and I'm going to share those with you, but definitely a progressive philosophy of teaching and learning. And your child right now has 2 teachers in the classroom. In kindergarten, they will have 2 teachers. They go to music, like right now they have Nikki. They'll have a music teacher. They have PE. So they'll still go to the library. There's so many of the things that are the same. You can read. I'm not reading to you, trying to put that up. You can look at that and just give you that opportunity, but definitely an opportunity to develop language skills, reading, writing, speaking, listening skills, mathematical thinking abilities, inquiry skills. So very similar in that way. You can look at here. We do very big cross-divisional collaborations, which are wonderful. I always think about what makes Shorecrest such an incredible place. And it's not just kindergarten or just JK, it's the whole thing, right? And we absolutely are able to take advantage and are part of the bigger community. It's not just we stay in our own little world of kindergarten. We work with other lower school classrooms. Sometimes we're an experiential school we partner. Sometimes we're going up to middle or the high school, or they're coming down to us. Lots of community events together all throughout the year, which is really makes for an exciting education experience. So, and definitely I need grade level reps, just like Sherry does. Service learning is a component as well in all of our divisions, in all of our schools. So let's talk about what's different. Your child may come home and say, what? No nap? Where's the nap? And they might be a little tired. It's true. We used to nap in kindergarten, and then we stopped doing that. And I remember a first grader starting first grade. She's like, "Where's the nap?" It's like a nap. They're capable. They're ready. We don't nap, but definitely a balance of structured learning, inquiry, and play. You should not worry that your child's going to be sitting at a desk all day. That's not. There may be times, like maybe when they're doing word study or writing workshop, because that's probably a great position for your body to be sitting at the right angle, the right height to do some writing. So you might see them at a table or doing some other explorations, but definitely play, choice time, inquiry work, field experiences, lots of guest experts, which I think some of you will be, coming in. They have Spanish, which is in a couple days a week. When they're in first grade, it's 4 days a week. Art once, music once, PE 4 times a week. So more transitions. You can, if you think about it, there's a lot more transitions, but they're very similar. We do a town meeting. I hope you can come every Monday morning. We'll be out here, and each class takes time to present something that's happening in their classroom and sharing information, and we love it when you join us. And your child will be eating in that dining room. It took kindergarten 1 day. They had it down. It was actually, they did it better than anybody else. They really did. I don't know, maybe two instructors in the class, but your child will be fine. They're capable. They can do it. You know, it's pushing a tray, and yeah, what if something falls? So what? We'll pick it up, we'll clean it up, we'll try it again. They can do it. Curriculum. So we do have a curriculum, and we have curriculum that builds from alpha all the way up. We have done the work. We have done the work of aligning our curriculum all the way up. We call that vertical alignment. And that happens when we're looking at what does our language arts or English looks like, going all the way up. How do we build? Same for math. What do we know is right for children in terms of pedagogy and instruction? And then how does that build and develop over time? Because for curriculum, we're always thinking about who are our kids and what do they need? What do we want to teach them? And how will we teach them? Those are always the things that we're considering. And we really think a great deal about it. And we look at national standards, but we also have standards, and your child has standards, and you have standards. We aren't driven by tests. They take a standardized test, an ERP test. We don't spend a year preparing. We do not. We teach throughout the year. Maybe a week before, we show them 2 weeks before, this is what it looks like. This is how everybody should be doing it, if you ask me. Instead of like, they have now ERB, standardized tests for kindergarten, to prepare them so that they know how to take those tests. And I've worked in public schools where it is definitely, learning is driven by what's on the test. And we know our kids are prepared. We know our kids because we're always assessing our kids one-on-one. Always. We know who they are. You know who your child is as a learner as well. So let's just look. And with curriculum, we think about what are the skills, the knowledge, the values, the attitudes, and the habit of minds. And those are the dispositions that we're shaping. And we think deeply about all of those things. Alpha going up. Let me look at that for a second. I put social emotional learning on the top because it has to be one of the most important things. It isn't like dessert. It's the main course. It's so important. When kids feel good about themselves, they feel good about others, they feel safe, they can learn. When that is off, it impedes their learning. If something's going on at home, if something's happened in the family, they can become very preoccupied with those things. So we have to take care of their heart and make sure that everyone is feeling good and safe. We have Kate Pierce, who's our school counselor, who's amazing. She comes in every week and she's teaching lessons with children. about being a good friend, using your words, what happens when there's a problem, what's a smooth sailing friend versus a roller coaster friend. And I can remember there were times I wanted to jump in with my daughter because there's always drama, girl drama, but then they're friends the next day. You know, they're best friends. So it became like, do I get all emotional myself because you'll feel your child's pain? I think always reach out to the teacher because, you know, you don't know. But reach out to your teacher because sometimes there are stories, so that's a good thing. Also, my daughter told me, I think it was like second grade, Mom, just stay out of it. I was like, okay. That was hard to hear. And I would hear, you know, I said she's my little Jacqueline Piaget's daughter, was his research, because I would hear the language coming home. She'd have those strategies, and that's wonderful. And that's what I heard for reading and writing too. You know, use my superpowers, Mom. You know, I mean, when you hear that language coming home, that's really great because you're, wow, look at that, they're learning some really great skills. So I think that's probably one of the most important things. And then balanced literacy. We start off the year getting to know your child. Some children will begin the year, they don't even know how to read. It's spontaneous reading. My daughter was reading, it doesn't mean anything. I was like, oh, she's brilliant. Yeah, she's not. Everyone else is growing. I think she's more, but, you know, what I know as an educator is that the next year, everybody's there, you know, and she needs those same skills and strategies that are being taught in kindergarten because there are more difficult words that she's going to come across that she just didn't learn. And that she needs those strategies, as your child might. There are children who are just beginning, and that's okay. You know, not too long ago, they didn't teach reading until first grade. We have just pushed way down, and you think about, what are these people making these decisions where they're like, you know, by 5, everybody needs to be reading, when it's really not appropriate. They need to be playing more, but they will learn to read. I promise you. And if there is, sometimes there are children who we notice, like, oh, something's not right here. You know, it's not like, it's just they may learn differently. So then we have to figure out, okay, how do you learn best to read? And then we will figure that out with you. Okay, there's lots of different strategies. So, but definitely they will have all of those things. And math, it's the foundation. So much of it is the concrete at this age, playing games, exploring, building, thinking mathematically. They're always doing math. And we're guided by everyday math, but we're smart educators and we can supplement and change things when we think it's appropriate. The block building curriculum, I talked a little bit about inquiry already, and that's an in-depth investigation inquiry. So whenever you think about project-based learning, I want you to think, oh, that's a deep study. It's not a cute project. It's a deep study. We're teaching children how to learn. That goes back to that quote, right? We're teaching them how to learn because once they know those skills, they can learn anything. Anything. And the block building, though, I brought that from New York, from City and Country. Caroline Pratt had started that school almost 100 years ago, around the time of John Dewey. She's the mother of blocks. Without her, we would not have blocks. And I loved it so much because you will see a whole class building together. And there's math, science, literacy, because they're labeling things. They're problem solving, negotiating. There's so much that's going into it. And then at the end, after a week of building, there's dramatic play. So that whole social aspect, you know, it is STEAM. I'm just going to tell you, it's STEAM in kindergarten. And it makes me sad that so many classrooms have made blocks like a carton of blocks to go with, and then, okay, take it down. So blocks are really important, and in the old days, you'd always see boys going to the blocks, right? And girls would be in dress up, and we try to move it around, and sometimes you would see it mixed up. At our school, it's always mixed. Always. Girls are building side by side, and that's really important. We see kids build, the blocks represent their thinking. And I'm telling you, you would say, oh my gosh, I didn't know. I didn't know she thought that way. I didn't know she could build like that. So if we don't provide those opportunities for kids to do things, we won't know. We don't know. So that's a great example. And then, we're all passionate about social justice and equity, and we need to do it at their level, what makes sense, but we're not going to shy away from conversations. We're going to keep it real, and we're going to keep it age appropriate. Because kids care. They really do. And at 5 years old, they have a lot to say, and they can feel very empowered. Let's say when we went around picking up garbage, or we used to take kids to the homeless shelter and look at the pantries, and we talk about families that might not have food, and food deprivation, and children can get that. They care about that, and it's not so I'm so scared. It's more like, what can I do to help? Wow, and kids want to feel like they can help. So important. All right, so I wanted to show this video for 2 minutes. And then I hope I can get back into my presentation. Maybe some of you have seen it, but I thought it was a nice, it was a marketing piece, but it explored inquiry work. What are the guiding questions? But while we're doing that study, we need to allow for things to emerge, for children to drive the learning. Can't just be the teacher is driving, right? So that's what we call a negotiated curriculum. So that's one difference. But we absolutely, this year, kindergarten, Alpha, JK, kindergarten, first grade, we're all working with Karen Hay, studying the Reggio Emilia approach. I did not expect that kindergarten, first grade were going to become Reggio-inspired schools, but there is so much that overlaps with what we believe. And always the child at the center, the child is capable, the child has 100 languages, right? So this was a great study right in our backyard, construction, and we went deep, and there's so much to learn, but more it's the process of learning. So you can visit that. Sorry that you couldn't hear it. Next time I'll know, we gotta have speakers for it. All right, so this is what kindergarten looks like for your child in 3 months. They'll have PE 4 days a week, art with Gloria Letta, music, technology. We have a beautiful innovation lab over there, and we have an education technologist, Katie Deegan. Katie sits at our planning meetings and she listens and she says, she doesn't tell teachers what to do. She says, oh, I hear what you're doing. Think about this. Right, so she's listening and then trying to make sense of what the teacher's goals are, what they want to do, and then talking what makes sense, because that technology is a tool for learning. It's not just something we do to do. So they will have guidance, and the kids love all of that, and they get it. So going to the library, the makerspace. One of the most exciting partnerships that we started this year is 10th grade partnering with kindergarten. So on a monthly basis, a kindergarten student is teamed up with someone from the high school. And there are projects like this year, 10th grade came down and they read with kindergarten. They sat with them every day for life. They painted with them during Celebrate the Arts. It feels so good when you're on campus and you're 5 years old and you see a big kid who's really old, and you go, hey, Tommy, and they wave back. It just feels so good to be known. And what's great is that partnership continues. So the following year, you're still partnered with the same person in first grade, and then in second grade. And then when they're graduating, it's like, I know when he's graduating. The second grade class, whoever is the outstanding student comes back for their the second grade when they graduate. The outstanding student that was partnered when they were in second, an outstanding student as a senior comes back at their graduation and speaks. It's pretty cool. But I know my daughter had that relationship with some of her lunch buddies and things. They still hug each other when they see each other. It's beautiful. Guest experts, lots and lots of experts, because there's people who know that can help us learn. And then performances, we will do a performance. We're thinking we're going to change our kindergarten performance next year. We're ready for changing it. And then we're part of all those school-wide events. Probably a little bit more than what the children are doing now, but similar. So, this is what you really want to know. I know you didn't want all that other stuff, but you got it. So we're going to start at 8 o'clock next year. I'll be out there at 7:30.
Please come to the office. Entertain to the office, please.
We're at Car Duty early. We'll be there to greet your child, say good morning, give a hug, and then they'll go to, most likely, the playground. That's what we were doing before construction, so I hope you can go back to that. And they'll play for a little while, and then at 7:50, they'll all go into the classroom. If not sooner. Pickup is going to be at 3. So we feel like we have to gain some time back. We lost some time this year. So I like this schedule. There's a lot to do in a day. And yeah, after school care, Terry Kessel is our after school director, and she'd be happy to talk to you and work with you about aftercare if you need it. There's some great clubs. The first club we don't offer a lot for kindergarten because we want them to get acclimated, but then there'll be some good ones like kindergarten favorite games. You know, Woody Every always does that, our PE coach, one of our PE coaches. Some really Spanish, there's some really fun ones. Cooking. Usually kids choose because they want to be with a teacher. I see that all the time. Communication, so important. Community. Wherever I've been, this is always, it's either too much, too little. I think we do it just right. As a parent, I make sure I read everything. I read middle school. I read Chris Brandt's letter. I go to the blogs. I read what the teachers write, the homework. I look at e-bites. I want to know. I don't want to just know for my division, actually. I mean, I look at the other divisions. I want to see what's going on. We're one school. So I recommend that. Always, always read mine. And then always read your teachers. But you should know that the specialists also do a blog. Isn't that nice? They want to tell you what's going on in your child's class. And not only that, I think it's a good way. I hope you will build relationships with them as well and try to get to know them, not just be the classroom teacher. But lots of information coming your way. So I just feel like that's the job. And even in the old days, when I was a teacher, they had those purple colored forms we used to have. You know, some people read, some people didn't. You have to read them. That's just, you just have to. All right, so this year we got to experiment with the backpack. We thought we would let Sherry pilot with junior kindergarten alpha. We thought it was a hit, and we are all for it. So on Land's End, order a backpack for next year. We're recommending that you have the initials embroidered, or we'll end up, see, some people don't want a name because they're afraid that your child will have a name. And, you know, I'm just worried about all those green bags and nothing on it to let us know. One way or another, there has to be a name or a way to identify it. So if it's not embroidered, we're going to have to put tags on them. Because otherwise it'll just be a mass of green bags. So, did you like them? Yes. Yeah. I think they're better. I'm happy. Yeah, so we appreciate it. Melissa Lotz is our front desk administrative assistant. I know many of you have met Melissa, and she's wonderful. Everybody in the office wants to help you, so just know that. If your absences, let us know, because by 8:20, she's calling your house. Because we need to know. That's just a legal issue. I want to know. So please let us know ahead of time. And if they're sick, let us know as well. Appointments. It's better if you do them not during the school day. I'm just going to be honest. Or when we don't have school. It breaks up the day. Just letting you know. Or during the summer is a great time. Things that are going on at home. Somebody passes away. Or anything that's going on, let us know, because we'll see stuff and we're wondering what's going on. It's just nice to work with you. It's part of the partnership. You know, we talk about, let's be partners. So how do we do that? You're working, we're working with the kids. So I think communication is one way that we can be really good partners. And hopefully we'll get to know each other as well, because that's part of being partners. Here's your kindergarten team. And they're all incredible, and they work really well together. We have one new teacher, Julianne Damascus, who is from Tarpon Springs, but she's been working at the Park Day School in Boston. And the head of school's child is in her class, and he tells me she is incredible, and just all good things. So I feel very confident with Julianne, and she is, you can tell, she loves children and is passionate about teaching and learning. So a wonderful team, they know each other, they work well with each other, and they will be here to support you and your children. I put this in just in case you want to look at the names again of all the different specialists. And then me, Dominique, call me Lisa, not Dr. Bianco, I appreciate that. And then Dominique is fabulous. Dominique was the dean. First, she was a high school teacher, that's great. Then she was the educator who actually pulled all that curriculum from Alpha through 12th grade together. She knows it backwards and forwards. She worked on that during maternity leave. She came back as Dean of Curriculum and Instruction for Experiential School and Lower School, and we thought we were changing titles around, so we said, hey, let's give her the assistant head of the lower school. She's fabulous. You'll love her. She's my partner, and she's here for you. We do a lot of parent workshops together, but she's another go-to person. And I'm too. Over the summer, you're going to see online a supply list that you can either order. Scott has it really easy, just to click. I always do that. It's easy. But there may be some other things you have to get. Or you might love shopping and you love getting bargains and you want to do that. And you can get it on your own. Uniforms are also, we buy them from Land's End. We appreciate uniforms coming from Land's End with the Shorecrest logo. And then we also have used uniform sales too. They wear really well. The uniforms last a long time. And sometimes people buy things, like I bought things for my daughter, she wouldn't wear it. So they end up going to the used uniform sale brand there. She didn't like the feel. If you're new, you'll have an ambassador family. And we have summer camps, which if there's one summer camp your child can attend, I think it's a great idea. Because they'll make some friends that get used to coming to Shorecrest. So I love the summer camps. And then there's an online summer packet, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So it used to be like all hard copies went home. It was a lot of work. We made it really easy for you. So look at the online. This is all that you'll have to fill out a kindergarten information sheet. You have to read the handbook because it's different. And it's going to come back to you if you don't. Because I'll say, well, didn't you read the handbook? It was in the handbook. So read the handbook. You have to acknowledge that you read the handbook and you discussed it with your child. Like, what's important? Emergency contact information, all of this you'll do online. And you'll get this mid-July. Just do it when you get it. Do it when you see it. Don't put it off. Just like, okay, I see it, I'm doing it. Because you'll forget. You need that information. And then you'll need an immunization, your hard copy, you'll get it from your doctor and physical. Go for it. Rain gear. Gotta have rain gear on here. Please. All right. Here's something, again, you don't have to write anything down, you can just look at my presentation. Important date. So we start a little bit earlier this year. Friday the 3rd of August, you're going to get a letter saying, a letter from your child's teacher saying, hey, hi, so excited to be your teacher. And also you'll receive a letter from me for a Google Doc for a listening sign up for listening conferences. A listening conference is an intake conference. It's a time for a teacher to sit and listen. Just tell me a little bit about your child. Yeah, because you know your child best. And tell me what your hopes and dreams are for your child. And your child can come and then say hello and do something else while you're talking to the teacher. And kindergarten is so nice because they set up for the Saturday. We have the social, the 10th, there's a kindergarten social, a play day that will happen. And kindergarten teachers will be in their rooms able to meet you during that social. It's like 15 minutes. And then we have it also on the 11th and 12th. New parent dinner on the 8th. First day of school, the 14th. But you'll have some time. So when you come with your child, it'd be really great for them to be there, to meet the teacher, so that the first day of school, they're comfortable. Your children that have been in JK are so lucky because they've been in that space. That space is familiar to them, you know? They were there for almost a whole year. So when they're like, hey, this used to be my room. It's wonderful. Again, we're one school. They are not going to have a hard time transitioning. Your children probably have the easiest in the history of the new buildings, you know, because they've been in that space. And then on the 22nd, lower school, back to school night, we gather, please come, we gather in the JRT. Mike will present, say a few words, I will as well. And then you'll go back to the classrooms and the teachers will kind of go more details about the curriculum and just routines and things that are pertinent to the classroom. These are the days we have. So conferences, so progress reports go out in November, and then we have half-an-hour conferences. So we stopped writing the longer narratives and instead we do longer conferences in November and March, and then we do an end-of-the-year narrative. But there are progress reports in November and March. But you know, you at any time make an appointment to see your child's teacher. It does not have to be on a conference day. And not only that, but many of the teachers schedule other times for conferences because it doesn't work with your schedule. And that's fine. You should never feel like you have to wait for a conference. That would be terrible. And lots of ways to be involved. I'll let you read that. But, you know, it's not just being involved in the classroom that counts. It's what's happening on campus. So if you're involved in the book fair, you're involved in the youth uniform sale, there's so many different things you can be involved in that really matters. They don't need you to be in the classroom cutting for them, and we're good. You know, but being a part, coming to the shares, like the project shares, coming to the writing celebrations, really important. And then some teachers might have a time where parents push in and support some of the project or the things that are going on. But lots of ways to be involved. No need to worry. There's some contact information. This is the office and all the people that are there to assist you. Right? All right, well, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have a great day. I think Jean is ready to show you all over the class now.